Good morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games, hosted by two very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Tommy Dasilo, and with me, as per usual,
resident movie expert Ben Vanel here. We're going to talk about some real video games today. I'm excited to as well. I finished a game within the past 5 days.
Within the window of release.
Correct.
Yeah, great.
And I released in the window after I finished it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But I've been completely taken over.
Transfixed.
Yeah, by a game recommended to us by Jen Fricker back on... it must be nigh on 3 days ago.
Yeah.
On Video Drone, our Tuesday episode. The movie trivia game Cine Nerdle.
Yep.
It's not easy to say.
Yeah, and then the URL has a 2 in there. It's Cine 2 Nerdle.
Yes.
What's that about?
Brother, I don't know.
It looks like when there's like a sequel to a movie.
Yes.
And in the poster they'll like kind of, just for sort of stylistic reasons, they'll wedge the 2 in the middle of the title text.
I mean, I assume there was a Cine Nerdle originally. Someone else bought cinenerdle2.com. And then they were like, we have to fucking...
Nerdle.
Yeah. Anyway, you've had a bit of a go of it as well.
I've had a bit of a go of it.
Should we save the review for the reviews portion of the show?
Oh, I love this. Bit of forward sizzle.
Well, I reckon as people listen to us talk about some news, they can look it up. They can have a little try of themselves, go to the battle mode people, and then, they'll sort of have a bit of an experience with it. And then... we'll tell them what it's like, which will be redundant by that point.
That's not a bad idea.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we got to get into. There's a little bit of news.
Yes.
We are sort of, we're still in that period where, obviously we had the big flurry of the Switch 2 final reveal.
Yep.
But it is still kind of early enough in the year that there's some sort of cogs starting to turn. Stuff is starting to come out, but nothing really too major.
No.
Still happening at this point. There was some news this week about a Nintendo lawsuit, which Diamond
probably
doesn't.
An emulator website probably, or
no,
someone leaking, blueprints or something like that.
I mean, those are cases that typically they have taken on,
yes,
and they have traditionally won,
yes.
And maybe it speaks to they're getting a little bit cocky. Maybe they're a little bit. This is small fish for them.
Yeah.
Someone illegally. Reproducing their product and turning a profit from it.
Yes.
They could walk into the courtroom and any judge and jury is going to side with them.
Yeah, they've got law on their side, right?
Yep.
It's copyright breach. It's very simple.
So they clearly thought, let's aim a bit higher. Let's set ourselves a bit of a challenge. Let's take on a Costa Rican grocery store.
Oh, mate. You are walking into a world of hurt if you think that you're going to be able to handle the Costa Rican grocery store.
Legal system.
Yes.
It's its own branch. The supermarkets have their own branch.
It's like in Anatomy of a Fall, like the French court system's completely different.
Yep.
Oh, the Costa Rican grocery store court system, it's a nightmare.
You walk into the Super Mario Costa Rican grocery store and you just hear PIMP playing on the on the marimbas. This supermarket chain has existed since 2013.
Okay.
It's called Super Mario.
Yes.
And Nintendo took them to court.
Yep.
And they lost.
How is it not a breach of copyright?
Because their usage umbrella of the term Super Mario does not extend as far as grocery stores.
Oh, that's how they get you.
I wonder if this is... we talked on a Special Zone episode, which, by the way, get onto the Patreon, support the show and get all sorts of bonus content. We do a once-a-month kind of deep dive. One of us presents a topic to the others, and at the end of last year, I did the Sonic the Hedgehog media, which is not the current films, and there was a situation there where a guy who had written for the comics, he filed for copyright of the characters that he had come up with. The comics company took him to court and lost because they didn't have any original copies of any of the contracts that had been signed.
Right.
And so they left the court and they immediately sacked their entire legal team.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is a case where Nintendo are then leaving that court and going, how are we not covered for error? And someone in there is going, we didn't think it would really matter that we weren't covered for grocery stores. It's like, why would we not cover it for fucking everything?
Right. And how did we not check this before we did the lawsuit?
Yes.
Like, sure, the trademark, that's 30, 40 years ago. Like, that's a different matter. But, like, did we not read the law?
Yeah.
Ahead of time?
What I want to know, and what didn't come up in what I've read about this, maybe this information is out there, is like this store being called Super Mario. Why is it called that? Does that just relate to something within Costa Rica and their culture?
I imagine that it's a direct rip-off of Nintendo.
See, I don't know. It's a big enough chain. I don't know.
Is it spelled? It's spelled like literally super.
It's the same. Yeah.
Costa.
I mean, I guess
Rica.
maybe it is just they are smart enough to like not use, because there used to be. Near me growing up, there was a pizza shop called Mario Boys. Yeah. And they had little knockoffs of Mario and Luigi on their logo and menu. And you do see this stuff from time to time. You'll see like a Mario Brothers Plumbing or whatever, and it's got like some shit painting of Mario on the side of the building. This sort of stuff is rough. So it would be cool if they now... Like they're a bit wounded, losing out to the Costa Rican grocery store system.
Yes.
They need to get a win on the board. So now they do decide, like, that's it. We're flying out from Kyoto to Broadmeadows. Oh, boy. And we're just going to take on every, like, low-rent, 2-bit, like, just local mom-and-pop operation that dares to have a fan art drawing of Mario on the side of the building.
I don't want to be a rat, but there is a Luigi Boys in Coburg.
Let's go out there and let's try and assemble a complete list. If we could get a running... Okay, if you're listening, if somewhere near you there is a bootleg Mario operation...
Yes.
Not that we're going to pass this on to Nintendo.
No.
I've gotten over that idea in the last 10 seconds since thinking it up.
Sure.
I just would like to have a catalogued master list
not bad.
of every bootleg Mario operation in existence.
And then we can blackmail them.
Yes.
We'll get free pizzas.
That's way better.
Or plumbing from all these places.
But by the way, business. Not just like, I don't need to see a knockoff Mario vape in a Vietnamese market. Sure. That's whatever. Of course that's happening.
I thought you were implying, like, if you know someone called Mario, that doesn't count.
That also doesn't count.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with, I think it's in, like, Preston here. I don't know if you've ever driven past this. There's Bullwinkle's Pizza.
Ooh.
And it's got like a massive painting of Bullwinkle J. Moose on the side of it.
Okay.
And Rocky and Bullwinkle is a property that you do not hear mentioned or referenced in any... So it's like...
No.
Who is this for?
Is Rocky and Bullwinkle like Hanna-Barbera or something?
No, it's J. Ward, but it's that era.
Right.
It's like its own thing, but it is that era.
It would be like seeing a Yogi Bear branded,
right.
Picnic. Outdoor
State
supplies.
Park. Yeah. So, I mean, I would... bootleg businesses, especially if they've got like some dank mural on it, because that's the cool thing about Bullwinkle's is it's on a corner. So they've just got some they've just been really able to lash out with the painting they've got on the side of the building.
There was there was George's Bar, which was George Costanza themed. Yeah. There was Larry David's Bagels in Thornbury near my house for a bit.
Yep.
There's got to be even more.
I kind of think that in an ideal world, it's kind of name only. They've used the likeness of Mario. Maybe they've like... those like kind of bootleg things you see where it's like Mario dressed like a pimp where he's got like a gold chain on with the dollar sign on it and all that shit. Because the thing about George's Bar, this is a famous piece of Melbourne law.
Yes.
If people can remember back this far, it was a George Costanza themed bar. It got a lot of heat. In fact, I think they ended up getting... It came across the desk of Jason Alexander himself.
Yeah, it got cease and desisted.
I don't think it did.
Oh, really?
I think that he was into it and they had a mural of him on the side of the building.
Yeah.
And then you went in and there was just like absolutely... They kind of got all this heat for being named after George.
Right.
And so it was like, oh, cool. And then you went there and they had like... You could buy junior mints over the bar and that was it. But people turned up thinking, oh, it'll look like Monk's Diner inside, or there'll be like a lounge area that looks like Jerry's living room. And it kind of, you sort of saw them go like, oh, we bit off more than we could chew here. We didn't think we'd get this much press.
Yeah.
And they had like a painting of him on the side from the like portrait that he gets done in the show.
Sure.
And sort of that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. Opening a bar in Fitzroy and not pandering to 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
you are out of your mind.
But you know what's funny now about that bar is that it closed down.
Nothing.
It has new owners.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's called George Uz.
Oh.
So this might be... I mean,
That's woke gone mad.
They were the first, like, George Costanza-themed bar. But I think now they might be the world's first trans bar.
Yeah.
Not just in the sense of, like, a place welcoming for trans people.
Yeah, safe space for trans people.
But a bar that itself has actually gone through the transition. Now, I've never heard of that before.
No, neither have I, and I don't think that anyone has.
I don't think anyone should have.
Yeah.
But let us know if there's a bar in your area that's gone through a gender swap name change.
We are putting the call out this episode big time.
We're really looking for a lot of
we want some community involvement.
We want some community engagement. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I will say the only thing about the Larry David's bagel shop that was like Larry David themed is that it was bagels.
Yeah,
which kind of feels offensive.
Yeah. Did they have... I don't think they had any kind of like
themed
They didn't have like
items.
the Susie or any shit like that.
I don't believe they did. I think they had like a lox bagel and a ham off the bone. But like I think it was just a bagel
They
shop.
had a big mural of him on the side of the wall.
They did. Very similar to George's bar. It's just murals.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's lazy.
This is a real sticking point for friend of the show, Jonathan Heath, the mad lad himself.
Oh, sure.
My cousin-in-law,
yes,
who does a lot of music stuff.
I was going to say, yeah, great musician.
He posted a thing a while ago about like there's a sandwich place in Carlton now called Shooter McGavin's.
Ah, yes.
Just it is true, like the very hollow, just engagement baiting of like, I'm
millennial nostalgia.
Yeah, and then you go in and it's like, at best, all you can hope for is like a picture of the guy as the logo.
Yeah.
You're kind of hoping for him to retweet it or repost it. But then once you're in there, it's just a sandwich place.
Yeah.
That character in that movie, I don't think he at any point references eating sandwich. Like they should have a bagel that's got shit in it.
Yes.
From his line where he says, I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
Or do it like a Nutella bagel. And call it pieces of shit for breakfast.
Pieces of shit like you for breakfast. Yeah. There you go.
Well, I will say that the Super Mario chain in Costa Rica does not use any Mario branding. It's black and gold color themed.
Okay.
It has a picture of a trolley and something in, I assume, Spanish, perhaps Portuguese. I don't know which language they speak there. I'm very sorry, Costa Rica. And just a guy in like a blue business shirt smiling.
Yeah.
So... it's almost like a prank. It's like, we're going to use the name, use nothing of the branding, and beat you in court.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad... You know, they had to lose it. They very litigious. They love taking people to court. They had to lose a case eventually. Yeah. And I am glad that it was a Costa Rican supermarket and not, you know, an emulator or, or someone who's like made one of those like rip-off games or whatever.
Some AI generated TV show of Mario or something. Right. Yeah.
I wonder if there's any, I mean, again, we were joking off air about like, it would be awesome to have the funds to do some on-the-ground reporting.
Yes.
We just drop everything right now. My Adelaide show cancelled. By the way, February 21, if you're in Adelaide, please come and see my show Main Character.
Absolutely.
There's about 8 tickets left at time of recording.
What's the venue?
The venue, the Rhino Room.
Oh, beautiful.
Super Mario's Rhino Room. The Ramby Rhino Room.
Yes.
I forgot to... I hadn't really plugged the tour yet, and I mentioned the Perth shows when I was one night into it last week, and then like that night I had a bunch of Perth listeners at the show being like, man, why didn't you plug this before I scrambled today to get a ticket. But anyway, February the 21st in Adelaide, one show only, and then from March the 26th in Melbourne. Yeah. Would love to see some filth down there.
I'm sure you'll run across some friends of the show if you go down to Tommy's.
Yes.
I'll be seeing the show. Will Jen be in town? Perhaps Jen will be there.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Who knows?
Who the hell knows?
All the stars might be out tonight.
She doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to ask her to record something for the show, so she'll be there in some capacity.
Beautiful.
But anyway, that Adelaide show, it's irrelevant. It's going to be cancelled because you and I flying to Costa Rica to see... On the ground, are they, what kind of celebrations are happening in Super Mario supermarkets across the great nation of Costa Rica.
I believe so. It's an island nation.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see them taking the piss. I'd love to see them just going extra hard, like popping up some Super Mario Brothers posters, just really kicking it, screening the movie with Bob Hoskins.
Oh, they're going like double Jeopardy style. Like you can't get us again. Yeah, I want. Does there must be cases of that happening where it's like someone gets away with like a landmark victory, and then straight away they're like, time to turn the volume up.
Well, if
take us to court again, you pricks.
Yeah, if it's a grocery store, exclusionary law.
Yeah,
they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. But mark my words.
Yes,
we in our lifetimes we will see a movie about this court case.
Oh, yeah.
The number of things that pop up, like the Blackberry movie, the Tetris movie.
Speaking of Larry David, that documentary about the guy who got exonerated from a crime because he was in a shot of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. I think it's called Long Shot. And he's just in this like, hey, it's called Long Shot for a reason.
Yeah.
He's like, they spot him and they can sort of cross-reference his alibi, and he
oh, wow.
he's proven to be innocent.
Yeah, right. No, I didn't know about that.
So that's a recommendation.
There is a precedent for this kind of stuff.
Yes,
immediately we're cutting between our two locations are beautiful Kyoto and beautiful Costa Rica.
Yes.
So immediately, just visually, we're talking a real treat.
Absolutely.
And thinking about the image of these, like, the top brass at Nintendo on their private jet. I don't know where this case took place.
I mean, probably geographically exactly halfway between.
Right.
That would be fair.
I think let's say we're making the film adaptation of this.
Yeah.
We're taking these broad strokes, these facts that we've said that we already know.
Yes.
And we're not doing a single shred of other research.
Of course,
We're just filling in the blanks ourselves.
I read a summary on boingboing.com.
Yep.
And
Snopes.com. Did this court case happen in Costa Rica?
I'm also not going to look at an atlas to see where the two countries are in relation to...
Or what language they speak.
I think that probably Melbourne, Australia is halfway between the two. So this is the gathering point for the landmark court case.
I don't know. I kind of do like the fish out of water of these of these Kyoto businessmen chopping it up in downtown Costa Rica.
Yeah,
it gives it a bit of like a dragon, going to Hawaii kind of feel. You know, they're sort of out of their element. There's bit of like culture shock for them.
I'm just wondering how we're going to cast ourselves in the movie.
Oh, right. Well, there's one answer for that, and you're not going to like it.
Oh, no. We're playing the Japanese businessman?
Yep. Yep. Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Oh, no one sent in themselves doing an accent. Remember we put the call out?
Yeah. Good.
No one did it. Good. So, very proud of our listenership.
Yeah, good. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Nintendo taking their first big L in court.
I know. Well, that doesn't bode well for the rest of the year. That's a bad omen for the year of the Switch 2.
Good point. Yeah, they must be pretty rattled. Maybe that's why they decided to finally put that Switch 2 reveal trailer out, because they were like, their legal team was like, guys, we're not feeling good about this.
Yeah.
I think you're about to take a huge loss in the court system. So maybe get something ready to go.
We need to curry some favour.
Yeah, get some goodwill in, lift your spirits a little bit after this epic historic loss for the big N.
Well, a company that also needs to curry some favour is EA. They, at one point, were the most hated company in the world.
Yep.
I think they've sort of at least gone neutral since that time.
I think it's I think it's a much lower bar now where, as long as you're not publicly Sieg-heiling, then...
that is very true.
It's pretty easy to escape at least the top 5.
Yeah. That gesture literally... I'm not going to do it, but it raised the bar. But yeah, so Dragon Age the Veilguard, Dragon Age 4 came out last year, was a bit of a flop. I think it did middling in terms of reviews. I don't remember. I could be wrong on that, but it only sold 1.5 million copies, which for a AAA, that is not very many.
Crazy for that number to be a failure.
Right? Yeah. Hey, if we got 1.5 million players of Super Dassilo Land.
Oh man, I'd be wrapped.
We'd be laughing.
I can't even get fucking PC Gamer to send me a copy of the issue that I mentioned in spite of now emailing them twice and going, hey, I ordered this in like October. It still hasn't shown up in the mail.
Oh,
no
God.
reply.
The disrespect.
The
Dr.
I'm
disrespect.
in the fucking thing.
So yeah, it was a bit of a failure. Certainly in terms of like what they would have projected, like they would be like having a big shortfall.
Oh, for sure,
revenue wise. And so there was a bit of speculation as to why that happened. By the CEO of Electronic Arts, whose name is Andrew Wilson. Is that the third Wilson brother? Is his name Andrew?
I don't know.
I think it is.
The one who's not in the limelight as much?
Yeah, the one who's like only in maybe Bottle Rocket or something.
Right.
Yes, I'm stopping to look it up.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Andrew Wilson. Yep. So he's also the CEO of EA.
Okay, right.
And he, on an earnings call, so this is kind of behind closed doors, I guess.
Why doesn't he, put in some calls to his brother and get like, Wes Anderson to make a video game?
Oh, yeah. Or just get Owen Wilson to do the voice of like a dragon. I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Wow, that's so hard. I've got flames are coming out of my mouth. Roar. So his brother has been like, he said this, to quote, "In order to break beyond the core audience, games need to directly connect to the evolving demands of players." Hey, that's not crazy. Who increasingly seek shared world features. And deeper engagement alongside high-quality narratives in this beloved category. So a lot of the reporting around that has basically interpreted it to mean people wanted it to be a live service game. That seems to be incredibly out of touch with the way the industry is as a whole, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a funny one because, like, obviously people do seek so much connection through the internet as a whole.
Sure.
And obviously, like, games are a big part of that.
Of course.
Where, like, younger people, like, their whole communities are sort of forged through those games.
Yep.
And so he's not wrong in that sense, but I mean, to say that your game flopped because it wasn't a fucking microtransaction permanently online game is like...
And also to frame it as like, yeah, if we had appealed to the audience, but it's like that audience plays like 3 live service games. Right. And that's all they have enough pocket money for. Like,
sure.
Genuinely, that's like...
But you think about something
industry.
like the success of GTA Online.
Yep.
And the foundation of that, GTA 5, was like an awesome game. Like an awesome single-player game that already had everything there that people really liked and responded to. And so they were building on that. It seems like the problems with Dragon Age, like the... people had issues with like the writing and... all those problems ran deep enough that just sticking, online stuff onto it, all those issues would have still stuck out.
Yeah, totally. Yes, you're not going to want to check back in with a game every day if the game is not very fun.
If the world and the characters and everything aren't captivating, then that's the real putting the cart before the horse of just going like. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think what he, his actual thing is like, we aren't making enough money off it. Yeah. Like that's what we wanted. We wanted the game to be.
Yes. Yeah. If we had put in a few more little financial hooks, if we had just put in microtransactions and then got as much out of the audience as we could before they got sick of the game, we would have made more money. Yeah. I think that's probably what he's really saying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so fascinating, like in that in the Jason Schreck book about Blizzard and just like the whole studio, because what we didn't talk about, can you look this up for me because I don't have my phone, the game
Tommy's mum took his phone away. He's been playing on it too much
and she's standing in the corner filming the episode for us on it. The game that was they announced like this week or last week was cancelled by the people who made Celeste. Did you see this?
No, I did not see this.
So this was a game being worked on by the team that made Celeste. It's been in development for quite a while. They had like shown off quite a bit of it, a fair bit of it. And
Earthblade it was called.
Earthblade, yeah. And they just in the last week and a half put up a blog post just basically going like, hey guys, sad news. And they're like, there's some stuff that they're like, we won't go into, but they are pretty transparent about it. Like they were working on it with another guy and their relationship kind of soured. He went his own way. They kept working on it and it's so rare in the arts spaces to see, people walk away from the sunken cost fallacy.
Yes,
it really seemed like it was a bit of that of like, fuck, man. I mean, we've put a lot into it, but we just can't get it. We just can't get it cranking.
Yeah.
We've got to walk away. Yeah. And it's really sad. Go have a look at the statement and have a full read of it, because it's really interesting to see, that amount of transparency. But so shout out to the team from Sifter, by the way, who are a Perth-based video games website. They do a bunch of podcasts. They all came to my show in Perth.
Oh, nice.
And was chatting with them about this afterwards. And
how much warning did they have that your show was on?
They had good I invited them. I invited them like a week out. So they had plenty of notice. They turned up on a Sunday.
Good.
Don't know why the specific night of the week is relevant, but had a great time chatting with them.
Interestingly, you treat the VIPs very differently to our listeners.
Kyle from there interviewed me for their podcast when Super Das Lowland came out. So we kind of kept in touch. Anyway, we were talking about, obviously the massive weight of following up Celeste.
Right.
Maybe if this was their first game, they might have pushed on and been a bit like, this is pretty good. We've gotten this as good as we can get it.
Yeah.
But they know it's coming out in the shadow of this like massive, massive success.
Yeah.
Something that really broke through, and it's got to be the same thing with Silksong, where they're just sitting there being like, every year that goes by without it coming out, the expectation grows and grows and grows and grows. And like, obviously that puts so much pressure on you for it to not just be pretty good.
Yeah.
And it started as DLC. I bet there's people in there wishing like, God damn it, I wish we had have just put this out.
Yeah.
And because you hear that from people, that's a thing that comes up a lot in the Blizzard book, is that the people that have been working on World of Warcraft all this time, they were on it from early days and they do still have a lot of affection for it, but they're just like, I'm just sick of working on this world. Like, I want like a fresh thing to put my focus into.
Yeah.
Like, they've been working on that Hollow Knight world for such a long time now. But it's just so interesting that like people kind of trapped in these teams that are very creative and very good at what they do, and the directives from the top don't always line up with and they just have to do their best. And
I guess like, so this is still a very small team despite the renown they got for Celeste, and they've just gone like, we're just going to reset, make some like smaller projects.
Yep.
Which again probably is taking the pressure off a little bit.
Yeah.
As long as they've still got money coming in from Celeste and, investment and stuff, like they probably have that grace period to do that. I assume obviously they wouldn't have done this if they didn't. So
well, and also there's that thing too, when you're a small studio, you need to get something else out like, this is why studios get acquired by bigger companies. Cause again, something that Jason Schreck has covered so well in his books is the like, you are just constantly hemorrhaging money when you're one of these studios. You just don't have the license to sit around for too long without something coming out and being successful or being acquired. Like, so it's because the interesting thing too is like, you look at the trailers for Earthblade and it's like, it looks like it's pretty much all there.
Yeah,
like it looks really far along.
Yeah,
but it does look like another, maybe it is just a bit of the fear of like, there's a lot of these kind of Hollow Knight-y sort of 2D hack and slash, like precise combat. Maybe it was feeling like this is a fine one of them, but it's not, Celeste had enough different stuff to it, and the story was a big part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, the fact that there's been some sort of disagreement with the guy who like has some sort of an involvement with the Celeste IP, and
losing a big part of the team, and obviously in the lead up to that, it would have been pretty, maybe the work was pretty ineffective in the lead up to him leaving. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't have been all systems firing if he was to leave. Like so, it's tough. It's like it's so that moment where you have that crisis meeting where one of you has to float the idea like, do we just pull the pin? Yeah. Is pretty heartbreaking to think about. Yeah. But also good for them. Good for them for getting out for being able to see the writing on the wall and be like, this just isn't worth it. It's so much worse for us to put out something kind of shitty and
that we now have negative feelings about because of this weird sort of fractured relationship.
Because this is the thing with indies too. I mean, obviously, like every big studio has stuff that they work on and prototype and get pretty close to, and you hear this maybe 10 years later, you'll hear like a leak of that like Donkey Kong Tony Hawk game that Activision were working on, and stuff gets pretty far along and then is just abandoned, but it's never been announced, so it's not like, oh, we have to. But with indies, there is a bit more pressure to be like, yep, this is what's happening.
We need to have announced it to get some investment, to get people interested,
you want the community to be along for the ride and feel a sense of ownership to it when it comes out, and
well, a game that I am very glad made it all the way to launch.
Ooh. In this economy.
I'm just going to look up who it's made by because they are a small indie team as well, I believe. It is Citizen Sleeper 2.
Oh, yes.
Starward Vector. Jump Over the Age is the developer name. Published by Fellow Traveller. So, small indie game, but Citizen Sleeper itself was a breakthrough game.
Yep.
That made it. That was one of the ones that slipped through the cracks and made it onto all of the gaming websites' front pages.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Like, in talking about Billionaire the other week and, like, just scanning Steam and trying to find, like, some new thing that will appeal to me that's kind of, like, maybe under the radar, and, like, there just are so many small games put out every week, and the rare ones that get almost as much, if not more, coverage than the AAA games. But then, there's just that rare something that has to happen, that has to click. And it's not even... Plenty of times you play the ones that are off the grid and they're just as good, if not better, than a lot of the ones that have... But this was really one that managed to just, for whatever reason... get the real heat.
I mean, it was really well written. And I feel like that... If you get all the way to the point of like a games journalist playing a game with really good narrative writing, that's going to put you a little step ahead because they appreciate that so much more than I guess even the average gamer.
It sticks out too. And
then the aesthetic of it was great, the illustrated characters and also being a smart use of sort of a choose your own adventure telltale sort of like chance impacting the decisions that you make throughout the story in a sort of not entirely new way, but a fresh feeling way. Was also, I think a point in its favor, and it was great. I don't think I ever finished it because it was all set on like one location essentially, and you were just sort of like moving between nodes on a big space station and progressing this story. And it was good, and I liked it, but it didn't have that little even extra thing to get me to finish it. I've clocked Citizen Sleeper 2.
Whoa.
I started it, I think the day after we recorded last week. I've finished it. It's probably, I don't know.
It's designed for like multiple runs, right?
Yeah.
I started this and I'd really love to be into this type of thing, this kind of like dice roll-y kind of thing.
Yeah.
It hasn't really grabbed me yet. But that's just because I've not really interacted with this style of thing before. Right. And I'm finding it a little like, I don't know. I just don't really have any kind of like precedent for what like a good version of this is. Yeah.
And so if you haven't played it out there listening, it is, it's basically a mind map, sort of like one node connected to another node, or they're not even connected. They're just sort of plonked over a 3D rendering of, in this game, usually space stations. It's mostly, I don't think it's on any planets. Space stations, big ships, stuff like that. And you are a character who's like woken up. You're a sleeper, which is kind of like a brain. It's kind of like an android, like a ghost in the shell kind of thing. You're like a mind inside a robot body, or like a synthetic human body. You don't really know anything about yourself, where you've come from, what you are, what you're doing. But you've got a mate there who's like, hey, we're running away from the bad guy. And you're like, okay, shit.
You say so.
I've got a quest then, run away from the bad guy. And that involves a series of choices every day, every cycle of this game. So basically one cycle is you'll wake up, you randomly get assigned a bunch of dice, I think up to 6 maybe, 5 or 6. And those dice are, ranging in value. and then you've got a bunch of little tasks you can do at the little locations where you are, the little nodes at the location that you are. And some of them will be like, work at this factory for a day to get some money. And you'll pop a dice in, and if it's a high dice, then you'll maybe earn more money, or at least you won't fail at the task. And you'll use money to buy food, because if you run out of energy, then you start getting stressed out and your dice don't work as well. So it's this sort of interrelated system where you've got to maintain your energy, keep your ship going, keep your like robot body from glitching out and your dice getting worse, and pursue the narrative, which is really, really good and interesting. It's very you love The Expanse.
Yeah.
It's very Expanse.
Yeah, that's what I think I just went into it not really knowing all that much about it and thinking it was maybe like a bit more of like an RPG or something.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like a video game kind of role-playing game. And so kind of firing it up and it being like, oh, this is just kind of like a book.
Yes.
I was sort of like, not in the mindset of like really wanting that at that moment and really having to be like, oh, okay, I'll have to sit down and play this at a different time where I'm like...
Yeah.
There just is also something too that I have to get over of any like game thing that has dice roll stuff in it. And this is true of Keep Driving has a bit of it, and Disco Elysium has it. Like playing like a board game where it's up to chance and you're rolling a dice. That I find it kind of exciting because it's like tactile and it's real and it's in front of you and you can
appreciate the randomness of it in real life.
Yeah, and it's not debatable. It's like, well, there it is. Yeah. There just is something about hitting a button and the machine in the background going, you lost, where I go, but did I? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, and I know that obviously that's built into it and it is like literally the exact same thing with how it's done.
Right.
But just just like not having that thing of, to me, like the rolling the dice, it's such a part of like playing an actual tactile board game.
Right.
That having it happen in the background is like, that's not why I play video games. Like I play video games for a like one-to-one, I'm moving around and doing stuff kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which obviously is just a thing that I have to get over. But I do always find it like a bit jarring when you do the like, you play the odds, the statistics thing, and it's like...
your Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, sorry you weren't able to talk him around, and it's like, but why not?
Well, so I think the thing with this game, it's more that rather than getting given a dice that is going to be randomly rolled, it's more like they are rolled randomly at the start of the day. So, like, if you get given a 6, you're going to almost 100%, if you assign that dice to a task, you will definitely complete that task.
I see, sure.
And even if you get a 3... the other thing about this that is a bit more role-playing-ish, and I feel like was different in the first one, is that you will have a skill tree, and you will have certain skills that will align with certain tasks. And if that skill is aligned with a task, you can roll a shittier dice and get a better outcome, or have more likely a probability of getting a better outcome.
Right.
So there's a way to sort of gamify it and game the system by sort of approaching only certain tasks that you know that you'll complete or probably will complete. And so something else that's different from the first one, you have a crew, you are going around to multiple locations. It is very Baldur's Gate 3 without the walking around.
Yes.
You assemble a crew with their own specific skills, and so you can't use the crew when you're just like doing the missions, like the game, the narrative of the game. But you will go on missions, and then you can assign crew, and they will be able to help out with tasks on that. And so, for anyone who's never played this, doesn't know what it looks like, it's basically a 3D rendering, sort of isometric of a location. Say you've got your ship and then next to it a wrecked spaceship that you're scavenging, and this is your mission. And there'll be like 2 nodes, 2 clickable little hexagons on that wrecked ship, and you'll click on one, and then there'll basically be on the screen, on the left a task, on the right a task, and then between them a circle with like a bunch of wedges, like pie wedges almost.
Yep.
And you will be assigning dice to, like, say you'll take your 5 dice, and you're an engineer. You assign it to the engineering related task. bang, 100%. And so that will progress that little circle a couple of wedges.
Okay.
And the goal is to complete that circle, and then that task is done. And then usually during one of these missions, there will be open up another task to do in another location. And so if you have all shit dice that day, but your crew members have good dice, you can use them to do those tasks. Also, there might be a task that you are not suited for that one of your crew members is. And so again, it's figuring out, having a balance in your little crew, relying on, yes, waking up in the morning and getting good dice. That is part of the randomness of it. But it's then knowing how to apply those, and knowing the skills that you have and your crew members have and all of that stuff. And so that is like the most gamey stuff of it. And the rest of it is very much choose your own adventure. It is following this narrative, choosing who to side with, choosing how to approach a situation. But it is all, yes, it's very much like an old text-based game.
Yep.
You're like, go left, go right, attack this guy. But put into sort of, visual interfaces and stuff. But I loved it. I really liked the story. It's a great sort of interesting... we were talking on Tuesday's episode with Jen about Companion and about the sort of like android, what does it mean to be human sort of idea. And in Citizen Sleeper, your main character is constantly struggling with that, but it's done in a much more thoughtful way. It's very subtle. It's very interesting. The people around you have interesting reactions to that stuff. And it's just like the first one. The writing is fantastic.
Cool.
I think it's very hard to describe this game because it is unlike any other game I've played except Citizen Sleeper 1. So go check it out on Steam. I'm pretty sure it's PC only.
I think so. I think the first one is on other stuff, but maybe this one's just I
would recommend it on PC anyway. It's very mouse.
Yeah.
It's very mouse only.
Yeah, very mousy.
I guess if it's console, I guess you're probably just like switching directly between like the nodes and stuff. So, Citizen Sleeper 2, I really liked it, and I'll probably play it again. You can choose a class at the start that sort of will guide what you're able to do. So
5 cans of Monster.
5 cans of Monster Energy drink and a little sleeping pill.
I'm going to throw in a little battery.
Little sleeping pill to help you get to sleep after all that energy.
Well, I've had a pretty bad week of gaming, I've got to say.
Oh no.
Because I tried Citizen Sleeper 2. Didn't quite click with me just because I was like, oh, right, okay, this is what this is. I probably need to mentally invest in this a little more.
Yep.
And I was kind of thinking like, it's been a while since I've played like a really solid, it's been a while since I played a solid, like a 3D platformer. I was just playing it. I was like sitting there. I was like, I just want a bit of like my comfort food style of game.
Yep.
So I kind of went looking for a new, not even just a new release one, but like a new one to me. And there is this whole category of the retro 3D platformer that have been made in the very like Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1 graphical style. And so I tried a couple of them and they're both like fine. Like I think they're both doing like a competent job like design wise of replicating that style of game. But they're just missing that little bit of sauce.
Right.
So the 2 that I tried were Super Kiwi 64.
Okay. Which
is like you're a little kiwi bird. You've got like a little kind of dash kind of thrust move. You've got like you can float, you can jump and do like a little float, and you're in a hub. You're going into these little areas. And you're trying to get these, I think there's maybe like 6 kind of gem things in each one that you get by doing different things. And the like, it's got cool music. It looks cool in terms of replicating that style. But it's a little bit like you're just kind of moving around and it's missing the thing of like a Banjo-Kazooie, where it's like a big sphinx going, hey, go over there and, where's my, hat gone or whatever.
Yep.
It's just like you kind of just go around and there's like a crate with a target on it, so you smash it and it's like, oh, do 5 more of them and you'll get the thing. Like, it's just missing a bit of that sort of overall presentation to it, even though the design of the levels is good. They're a lot more like smaller and compact than your Nintendo 64 Banjo-Kazooie 3D collectathon sort of levels were. And then the other one that I tried is called Cavern of Dreams, and you're a little kind of dinosaur guy, and it's got a bit more of that presentation to it. Like, it's got a lot more of like...
It's a little bit more rizzed up?
A little bit more rizzed up.
Okay.
There'll be a little, little kind of thing in a tree. You hit the tree, he falls down, his little seed who's talking to you.
Oh, sure, sure.
Like, throw him and a vine will come up from the ground that you
Okay.
can climb up. It's doing a lot more of that stuff, like a guy being like, oh, I locked my stuff in this, tree house. Can you go up there and get, like, it's got all of that stuff, but just like the movement of it feels a bit dodgy.
Right.
Feels a little bit like tech demo-y.
Right.
I don't know, like these are the two that have like really glowing reviews on Steam, and so seem to have connected with people in some way. I don't know if that is like maybe like younger people that don't have the like connection to the original games that these are sort of trying to harken back to,
or maybe people who are more satisfied with it just being an aesthetic replication. They're like, oh yeah, I remember that.
But I don't know, they didn't really, neither of them really like grabbed me. And so like anyone who's got any recommendations for a good
3D
like
platformer,
the throwback kind of one,
right? Not
that it even necessarily needs to have that aesthetic style. I'm not really that attached to that look, but a sort of off-the-grid, fun 3D platformer. I really kind of held off on these for a while and really felt like I was in the right mood, but they just, something about them where they just haven't hit. And I don't know, I'm gonna give them both a bit more of a go and stick with them, because they're pretty easy to pick up and fuck around with for just a little bite-sized session. Yeah. But feeling a little underwhelmed by both of them. I really was ready to find a new little $8 game that I just get fully hooked in on, and
Well, maybe the listeners can help.
Yeah.
Do we have time for one more little shout-out review?
From me?
From me.
Oh, yeah. We got heaps of time.
Oh, beautiful. Feels like we've been here for hours.
I know, it really does. Let's talk about Cinnanurdle.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
We didn't properly give this a review, because we did talk about it on Video Drone on Tuesday, and not to repeat content.
No, well, we had not really played much of it. I think I looked at it, but Jen went in, has gone in hard. Yep,
and you've since now too also ruined your life.
Yes, I probably spent like Jen said about 8 hours yesterday playing it. If you didn't listen to Video Drone, what are you doing? It's a great podcast. Yep. It's free. It's in the feed.
It's in this feed. It will have popped up. Some of you might have been like, what the fuck is this? Is really annoying.
Yeah, but it's really funny and good.
It's this, but about other stuff.
Yeah. And you like other stuff.
Yeah.
So why aren't you listening?
Yeah.
And you may well
What do you, hate women?
I haven't checked the stats. You may all be listening, and that's very nice. But yes, Jen introduced us to this game. It is in your Wordle sort of frame of mind.
Your GeoGuessr.
Your GeoGuessr, yes. That's sort of like your browser-based game, free to play. It's got ads on it, but hey, if you've got an ad blocker, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I've been playing...
naughty
boy. I've been playing a lot of that game. The battle mode specifically is the one that Jen recommended, and is the one that's been so addictive. And it is, you get matched up with another human being. Mm-hmm. You can choose, if you want, your sort of parameters for your victory. So you can choose, say like, okay, if I guess, while we're playing this game, if I guess 8 horror movies, I just win. I just win the game.
Right.
And the other person may have something similar, like 6 fantasy films, 4 Nicolas Cage films, something like that. Mm-hmm. There's a little custom like victory, like win sort of setting. But aside from that, you are matched up with someone. You get a movie just given to you by the computer to start off with, and then you just have to name a movie that has some link to that previous movie. So Power of the Dog is one of the starter ones I've been seeing a lot. Mm-hmm. So you just have to name a movie with Benedict Cumberbatch in it.
Yep.
Or Kirsten Dunst. Or Jesse Plemons. Or Cody Smith-McPhee. Or anyone else.
And it's all the crew as well, right?
I think it's literally all the crew, yeah.
Right.
Probably there must be some, I don't know if it's IMDb where they get their like information from, But it's, yes, anyone who's like officially listed on some database is working on it. It could be the best boy.
Yeah, I wonder how deep down you can get.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some pretty obscure names.
Okay.
But yes, and so if you know that someone in this film is in a very obscure film, then you can name that film, and then the person you're playing against will be like, well, the only person I know who's in that film is the one we've just used as the link.
Yep.
So, and you can use the same person as a link 3 times.
Yes.
But if you've snookered them on the third link with like some crazy obscure like foreign film, it feels really good.
Yeah, then they're really having to scramble.
Yeah. And so you do get these lifelines. You can just like, again, you sort of load them up. You get a limit of like what you can sort of have in your battle kit. And that includes like your win condition. So if it's a very easy one, you'll have like less room for lifelines and stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, you can have lifelines where you'll you can just hit exit or escape, and it just cancels that whole like chain link that you're on and comes up with a fresh movie.
One. Okay, great.
You can skip, which is more like reverse, where if you do that, if the person that's potentially snookered you with a really obscure film, you just hit it back on them, and so now they've got to come up with the link to it, and often that can fuck them.
Yep.
You can like rush them, which reduces the time in their time limit. You can block them. So if you are both like trying to guess horror movies to win, and you name, say, Evil Dead. Now you know that they probably are going to link that to Evil Dead 2. But when you play Evil Dead, you can then click block, and it means on their next turn, they can't name any movie that would add a little win point to their tally.
Right.
So they've got to name some movie with Bruce Campbell in it that's not a horror movie, essentially.
Right.
It's really like a good system. Like it has a lot of options, but it's not too complex.
Yeah.
And it is fucking addictive.
Yeah.
Because you have your ranking. I used to do this with like Mario Kart on the Wii, where when you play online, you start with like 1,000 points. And then if you win, you get more. And if you lose points.
Yeah. So
you get stuck in that position of like, oh, I was trying to get to like 1,200 points, but I just lost a game, so I'm down 15.
Yep.
I've got to make them up again.
Yeah.
And you end up playing until 2 a.m.
It's very like pretty bare bones presentation.
Yeah,
but, you get the little film poster, which is kind of nice.
Yes,
and
yeah, it is. It's basically Wordle if every word you guessed had a poster attached to it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really
sick.
cool.
Yeah.
I recommend.
I guess there was a previous one, because like we were saying, it's a 2. It's like the next version.
Yeah. I wonder. And like obviously, the tech behind it and the like actual program that's running it in the background is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just browser based. It's I think cinernerdle2.app or cine2nerdle.app.
I think it's Cine2Nerdle. Yeah.
But yeah, if you Google it either way, it's great. Hey, you don't always have to pay $8 for a disappointing 3D platformer.
No.
You can play a free browser-based game.
Exactly.
And have a ripper of a time.
Yeah. You got anything else? You've been playing a couple things this week.
Yes. So I've started a game that I think that our listeners will like if they've been into sort of Rise of the Obra Dinn, Golden Idol games. It's called The Roottrees Are Dead. And you are a private eye, and someone comes to you and is like, the current living members of this family, as far as we know, just all died in a plane crash or a helicopter crash. Your job is to trace back their family tree, fill it all out, and then once we've done that, we can figure out maybe who the fortune is meant to be inherited by. And you start off with just a photo of 3 girls who were the current living daughters of this guy who was living. 4 of them died in the plane crash. And then you have a computer. It's set in 1998 as well.
Okay.
So the computer is like Windows 3.1. You've got a very...
I was 12.
11. Very rudimentary browser and search engine.
It seemed like hearing that I was 12 in 1998 really threw you.
Yeah. Well, while I was saying that sentence, I was like... Was I 11? Yes, I was born in 87. But yeah, you have like, it's called like spider search or something. And the person it's a shadowy figure as well.
Okay.
Who comes to your door.
Okay.
Great setup. They're also like, if anyone asks about this, you didn't talk to me. So I wonder who it is. They're like, if you like Google, you know, if you search up these people's names, it'll probably give you some information. And then you have your giant evidence board, which is a huge family tree with like all these blank spots, basically. Blank photos, blank names, blank occupations. And they're all connected with red, you know, string. And you start from, this small little kernel of information, and you gradually fill it out. Everyone's linking to other people. When you like search something on the browser, you don't get any images, or like you don't see a website.
Right.
You see a summary. The browser is basically telling you what's on the web page. And so it will give you the key information in that sort of summary. And this shadowy figure will come back every now and then. I think it's very similar to Obra Dinn. Every 3 things you get completely correct, it'll be like, all right, they're all locked in, they're all correct, and you don't know they're correct till you get 3 completely correct.
Right.
It's like, all right, you've nailed that. Let's move the story forward a little bit, or let's get you another clue that you didn't have before, a little piece of evidence.
So you're getting that little dopamine hit similar to Obra Dinn
and Golden Idol.
Golden Idol, where you hit the thing and you're like, oh, I'm a fucking genius.
Yes.
Great.
And it is hard. It feels like, like I've struggled with it. I mean, it could be that my eyesight is bad. Like there's a name that's like, and like this is not a spoiler, this is sort of in the tutorial section, like one person's name is Carly Roottrees.
Right.
Or Candy Roottrees. But they look very similar on a small pixelated screen. Sure. So, but it is that thing, and it's like, I've got everything correct. Why isn't it dinging me? And you're just rotating through all these options. But, it feels genuinely like a really deductive, interesting puzzle-solving game. Inspired me to dip back in on Rise of the Golden Idol this week as well. Fuck, these are great genres of games.
I gotta that's a good reminder. I gotta dip back in on the Rise of the Golden Idol.
Because that has DLC out or coming out. So I haven't finished it yet either. I've got to get around to it. But, Roottrees Are Dead was also, I think, pretty cheap on Steam.
Okay.
Little indie game, but really, really clever, really, really intelligently made. Kind of on a par with something like Golden Idol, which we love. Yeah. We love Golden Idol.
We love the Golden Idol.
So in this house, we love the Golden Idol. The Roottrees Are Dead. It's Roottree, I think.
I reckon in 50 years' time or something, it's highly likely that we'll hear some story about like the Trump administration and his cronies all getting like cursed and their fucking heads blown off because they're searching for something similar to the Golden Idol.
Yeah, real Raiders of the Lost Ark style. They're all gonna fucking melt.
That whole crew of them. There's definite there's someone leading the charge to find some cursed lost treasure.
Oh, absolutely. Elon's gonna land on Mars and like some fucking evil ghost demon is gonna suck his brains out. And I can't wait for it.
That's going to be a great day.
Yeah, that's going to be a great day on X.
Take the week off, everyone.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do us for another week.
Yeah.
On Filthy Casuals.
We'll take the week off.
We'll take the next 6 days off. Well, not really. Thank you for listening. Check out Videodrone every Tuesday on this feed. And what else? Get on the Patreon. Get our bonus episodes every week.
That's right. About to record our bonus episode for tomorrow. Got a whole bunch of shit I didn't even mention on Videodrone.
Me too.
It's a lot of little secret things.
Secret thingies. Thank you for listening, guys. We will see you next time. And as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals, it's a me, the Tucker Bag.